it's scientifically impossible for a brother to betray you. I mean, I cannot tell this story of the EFF without talking about these guys. They were there. Whether they are doing what they are doing to me now or not to talk about them, it will be a distortion of history and to lie about how the EFF came to be. But politics are like that.
First of all, sicela ukubonga Thixo ntate Modimo.
Yeah.
The CIC needs no introduction. Thank you very much for having us here at the Matikizela Mandela House.
Absolutely. Thank you. You're most welcome.
Incredible building. This is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. We named it after the mother of the nation.
Yeah.
A title that you earn without being voted for by anyone.
Yeah.
Through your own deeds and your work.
Yeah. And I see it's central because everyone from all over Gauteng can get here easily.
Yes. And we are at the Gandhi Square. The buses are here. Noord taxi ranks not far from us. So if you want to serve the poor of the poorest, you must be where it is easily accessible.
Yeah. I'd like for us to start with the NPA. Yeah. How do you feel like it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks away?
Yeah. 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to it. It's all systems go. There's very little logistics here and there that needs to be tightened up, but generally the most complicated, difficult things, both administratively and politically, are resolved. We've had our own provincial general assemblies where the delegates that are coming gathered together under one roof to prepare both discussions of the discussion documents and the leadership. And there's no single one of the provincial general assemblies of delegates which had even a minor incident. Yeah, so before you arrive at the NPA, through these PGAs, you are able to see what is a possible outcome.
Yeah. Do you think you'll reemerge?
Well, I've not had any problem so far. Everybody else that have come to speak to me have said I need to make myself available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to also get into your story. You're such an inspirational figure.
Yeah.
Congratulations for everything you've achieved over the years.
Thank you.
You have told your story numerous times here and there.
Yeah.
But for our hustlers here, maybe getting into your youth, how did you get into politics? What type of a upbringing did you have that led you into youth politics?
Well, I come from a township called Seshego, a section called Masaganing. The reason why it's called Masaganing is because the people who came to reside there, they were forcefully removed from their land, called Distening, just outside Polokwane, because they were closer to white people's area. So they had to be pushed away like any other township establishment that we came to experience. And when they were moved from their houses, they were moved into apartheid houses which had windows, and they could not afford the curtains. So they took the bags of mealie and used them as curtains. So they used masaka to close the windows. And then as a result, that place was called Masaganing. Without any role models, without any serious development, everybody else there was poor, and the most high-profile people were criminals. We have seen crime when we were young. I mean, I remember I was telling the story that there was a guy who was well-known in the area. He was a member of a gang called 21 Jump Street. He was stabbing his girlfriend, and the girlfriend was carrying the child. And then the girlfriend had to use the child to shield herself, thinking when this guy sees the child, his conscience will come back and stop. No, he was even stepping the child. That is what we have experienced. And everybody, very few families had people who were educated. There used to be a company, I think we must do a class action against it, which used to bring, buggies to come and collect young people, called DRM, direct marketing.
Yeah.
So they collect those young people and then they send them to go and work to distribute advertisement papers door to door. And then they were paid every Friday. So the kids had to choose whether to go to school or to go to DRM because, every Friday people are going to get paid and those are the people who show off during the weekend. As a result, a lot of them didn't go to school, went to work for that company. And I don't know why it was directing those buggies into my section because it didn't go to many other sections except our section. For sure, they understood that most of our people are poor there. So then I tried that thing. Well, one day, so they took me from Polokwane to Port Gietersrus at the time to go and distribute. So they gave me a long... Pipirast,
yeah.
Portis, yeah. They gave me a long street alone. So I was dancing from this side to this other side. So it was a street with houses on both sides. So I put in this house, put in the other house, as I'm going. So I thought, this street is going to end there. Cantino, it's a hill. When I go up the hill, the street is still going down. I threw away those papers. And I said, no, I'm no longer going to do this thing. I stopped. And then that's how I was saved from becoming part of those people who were consumed by that distraction of direct marketing. And then from there, we went to school, like everybody else in the township. But our area was politically charged, highly charged. It had people who were in the unions, had people who were in exile, MK comrades, and were civic leaders and all of that. So they mobilized us as young kids and into what they called young pioneers. And they gave us very simple things that if they are achieved, our lives are going to change. Like our schools are going to look like the schools of white kids. Like our houses are going to be bigger with water and electricity. And our parents are going to work and own their own businesses. They will no longer have to work as domestic workers and all of that. So that was pretty much a good story that we needed to follow, that, okay, we need to defeat these guys so that we can live better than them. So that's how we developed interest. We joined that thing. They taught us poems. They taught us slogans. As we were growing up, then they started teaching us how to become marshals during ANC gatherings. We'll go with those who are going for football practice, and then we'll take a detour into the bush where we get trained on these things. And then we're not given real firearms. I mean, there were wooden firearms that were given to us to teach us how to use firearms. And we became political like that. And I was like between 9 and 10 years. And you can imagine between 9 and 10 years, it means you have never been a child. You have never had an opportunity to play as a child. And there was a year where they said, we're going to exile. And when I look at the year and now, I actually realize people were coming back from exile. So why were we going to exile? So we spent a week, if not 2 weeks, without going to school because we must keep the country. But every time we have to leave, there is an excuse that is given that someone leaked information, that the Boers have blocked, the leadership said there must be a delay. So on a second week, I decided, no, I'm going back to school. Because my mother is a domestic worker. She goes to work early hours of the morning and she assumed I went to school. But I didn't go to school. I was part of this group that was intending to leave the country. After 2 weeks, I went to school and were beaten properly for not coming to school. I mean, during those times, if you don't come to school, whatever the explanation, you're going to receive lashes.
There was still corporal punishment,
yeah, corporal
right?
punishment. Yeah. So most of my guys who were with me in the group didn't go back to school because they knew the consequences. So there were two things. You're going to be beaten up there and you must not talk. Where were you? Because if you talk that you're going to exile and what, then you sold out. Who was taking you to exile and all of that. So you had to receive your punishment and not talk. And the rest of these comrades said, we're not going there. And some of them, I still see them today, not developed, still trapped in poverty. And you've got that guilt that, but this guy quit school when we're supposed to skip the country, and that was it. And till today, he's still in that situation. So eventually, I didn't agree with those guys. So at grade 5, standard 3, so the school that I went to were wearing long pants. Because of those lashes, and I developed attitude against those teachers, I had to change and go to a school that is a bit far from my house. But the problem was that there you have to wear shorts. And for me to get shorts, I have to tell my mother that I've changed schools without her, and that was going to be a problem. So I looked for a scissor and cut those long pants and went to school there. But I received pressure that, no, you came without transfer. We understand your situation. You have to bring parents, transfer. Eventually, I had to tell her, and then she had to take off, go to school, and then, of course, it was a good school. She was happy that I could find my way into the school. So everybody there was hustling, not in the sense that you guys are doing it here, which is now above board. So you see people committing criminal activities, people engaged in illegal activities. So what helped me was that my mother was very strict. I'm the only child without a father, and I grew up in my grandmother's house. She had 9 kids. I think 2 of them were out when I was growing up, and the rest of them were in that 4-roomed house. All of them had kids, a minimum of 3 each. So we're all in that space. So I grew up there, but my mother was very strict and a staunch Christian. To an extent that even my peers and some community members were very scared of her. So when these guys, my group, goes to steal somewhere or goes to commit crime or something, they will chase me away. Or go home because we don't want your mother coming after us. So if I'm not home around 5, 6, she start going around asking for me. Did you see Silo? Where is Silo? No, we saw him passing this way with some guy. She follows that. Then she disrupts the whole plan. So as a result, they said, no.
What about
when you must not come. That's how I escaped that thing. I've never gone to a police cells for criminality. I went for student activism. I've never been accused of any other wrong things that my peers got to be accused of. I've never smoked dagga, because the first day I tried smoking dagga, I went home and my mother was not there, and I cooked because I was hungry. And I couldn't cook. The munchies, so I couldn't cook. I messed up the whole place. And when she walked in through the door, she was like, did you smoke that?
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, Bajimos is too obvious. Why would she know I smoke? So I was thinking maybe it's showing on the face, but later I realized, no, I caused a mess. And she was like, why would you do that? So then I said, no, I'm not going that direction. So one day my guys go, they steal alcohol in some shebeen there. Then the following day they call me, come. We went to a bush, so we drank. I started drinking alcohol with that thing, gin, mulomwampia, Gordons.
Oh, Gordons, yeah.
So I get mix it. I'm better. So my grandmother's house is here. Opposite, it's a shop where we always gather as boys. So we're coming back drunk, and I know I can't go in there. So I must wait for her to sleep before I go in. But she can't sleep without me. She starts the usual thing. She starts looking for me.
Yeah.
As she comes out, I can see her. I run. When I run, I go to the other street. So I find some tree. So I thought it was so big, this tree, because I'm drunk. And then I decided to hide with that tree. You know, alcohol can make you do stupid things. So I hide. And then she just came and said, Selwa, you drunk? Hey, I didn't respond. She started crying. And I knew, okay, this is what she has been praying about all her life, that this guy must never drink alcohol, must love the church, and all of that. So that's the kind of protection I received, and I think that's what saved me. So politically then, I then arrived in the hands of old men. So I only came to socialize and do politics with my peers, like same age group in the EFF or younger. Even in the youth league, everybody else was older than me. So in the township there, when I was doing politics, young pioneers, ANC youth league, COSAS, old people were the ones who were mentoring me, always with me. Some with cars will come fetch me from my house to go and do political activities. There was a guy called Freddy Ramapagela. There was Lawrence Mapolo, who's the chair of the EFF now. There was Thabo Magunyane. So and then there were no phones. So when I'm relaxed at home, a car will just stop. And then they say, hey, let's go. We're going to put up posters. Let's go. There's this 1, 2, 3. So I had no room now, either at home, in the township, my mother is there. Even when I'm out of my comfort zone, I'm in the space of these elderly people of the ANC, who we grew up looking up to them, and we still look up to them, and we appreciate the privilege of being in their presence, because not only do you get wisdom, food is guaranteed that day. You're going to eat very well, and then there will be drinks and all of that. To an extent that some of them started taking us to social gatherings, to alcohol places, and you are there, a beautiful girl walks in, is your classmate, you are scared of her. And then Grootman says, yeah, that's your age size, go and attack. You must bring her. Not for the Grootman, for yourself.
Yeah.
You're like, let me go. If you are fortunate, she sits on the other side. You go and chill with her there. You don't go back. You don't tell her anything. And then when she leaves, you go back and say, no, we're fine. It was sorted. There's no problem. You never said nothing. Because you're like, if I come back without this lady, this Grootman is going to think I'm a fool.
Yeah.
And then this lady, if she turns me down, how am I going to look at her at school? So then that discipline brought us up. I mean, I was from, my mother never had education. She was epileptic. And she had a severe epilepsy, if there's anything of that sort, because it was too bad to an extent that you start praying for her to pass on. Like, God, why would you make this person suffer like this? So we're poor such that even the poor called us poor. So we came out of that, and then I became involved in politics, became a leader of COSAS.
Your father in all of this? Where is he?
I don't have my father. I don't know my father. When I ask my mother about it, she becomes very angry. Okay, I know my G's there. My grandmother tells me everything. Like, okay, my guy, who's my father? Because she doesn't want to talk. Then my grandmother says, if she can't tell you, I can't tell you. It's not my place to do that. So I appreciate that. Then she passes on my mother before my grandmother goes, yeah, this is an opportunity now. I said to her, now that she's no more, she can't blame you for anything. Tell me who's my father, she says. No, I can't do that. So what the dead say, you can't do against what they said you must do or you must not do. She has never given me an instruction to do that. So I've never known my father.
Till today?
Yeah, till today. And I don't see a need to even know my father because I'm a father. So I can't even say I'm an orphan. I'm a father to my 3 boys, and I'm a father to members of the EFF. I'm a father of the nation. So instead of mourning about not having a father, I'm fathering people now. So I don't see that need. But this Grootmans I'm telling you about also made it very easy not to feel that there is no father figure in my life, because they will buy me clothes, they will give me money, always make sure that I'm well looked after. Really, and I once made a mistake. I think I was in the youth league or COSAS. I said, I don't know my father, and then it became a newspaper headlines. And the people were queuing there that they are my father.
Yeah.
And then the one that made me laugh was the one who came from Soweto and said, no, when Julius's mother visited Soweto, we had a one-night stand, and that's how he was conceived. But my mother has never visited Soweto until she died. So it was a complete lie. But that was not for me to handle. My grandmother was there. My aunt, who was a firstborn, who knew everything. Actually, she was the first one to get married, had her own house, worked nicely, had a nice home. So she knew. She actually looked after her siblings, took them to school, bought them clothes and all of that. So she knew the activities, and she would know for sure that Julius's father is probably so and so. So as these people are coming for auditions, she's like, not this one, no. And her and my grandmother handled that thing. So I've never known my father, and became the COSAS provincial chairperson in the Northern Province, now Limpopo, and became COSAS president. So how I come to Joburg, I come on my own, not to any relative. After being elected president of COSAS, I now have to relocate to Joburg, but COSAS has got no accommodation for me, because the former president of COSAS was Peloeahae, who stayed in Alexander. So he didn't need any accommodation. His home was in Alexander. So we arrived in Alex, where Maile used to stay. But we realized, no, this is not to be. The environment was not conducive. I mean, we come from poor province, rural province, and all of that. But our conditions were way much better than the conditions of the people of Alex. So we're not seeing anything better. That's how we then moved to Hillbrow. There used to be a Hillbrow hotel opposite. There used to be a place called Fontana.
Yeah, I remember.
Fontana had a spa.
Yeah, they used to sell nice pies there.
Yeah, and then there was a rolling chicken. So that spa had a class.
I remember
and
that
chicken was rolling 24
there
hours.
was High Point Godimo.
Yeah, so we were staying there. I think 6 of us in a room. And then we would pay per day. So we stayed there, I think, for almost 8 months. Then relocated to Ponte. So Ponte is that tall building in Hillbrow, which used to have a Coca-Cola advert later.
I think it's got Vodacom now.
Vodacom, yeah. So we stayed there. And one day I was in the lift. So I used to walk from there to here, Shell House, to come to COSAS offices. And then we moved from Shell House to Lithule House, Marshalltown. Used to walk from there to Marshalltown, ANC offices, because that's where COSAS offices were. And then one day, I was in a lift, and then these big, giant Nigerians came in with another Nigerian in the lift, and I was there alone. And then they were asking this person about, is this what? Is this what? I forgot the name of the place they were asking him about, but that is next door. So the guy was saying, no. They hit him with a varam clap, like, wah, in the lift, and I'm there. That thing shaked, like, almost like we're dying now. We're going to be finished in this thing. That's the end of it. So now I'm still going to a floor that is high up there. But the next stop, I got out. Used the stairs to go to my place. And was like, no, I'm not getting to this lift. The following day, I went to explain to Kgalema Mutlanti that, hey, this is what happened. He says, okay, you stay at Ponte.
Yeah.
No. That is not possible.
Kinsita, I know that place.
Then he facilitated. We came to Fortsburg. There were Joburg housing companies, apartments, which were opposite Oriental Plaza. And we stayed there, and it was a good environment, and also very close to the office. From there, when I finished COSAS, I went back to Limpopo. I became the secretary of the province of the ANC Youth League now, while I was still president of COSAS. And then from there, I became its president of the Youth League. Then I had to relocate back to Joburg. And then I've never since then gone back home. I've been here. I've got family, kids, everyone. They are now here.
It's such an incredible story.
Yeah.
The inspiration to start the EFF.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So we got expelled in the ANC because we compared President Zuma with President Mbeki, and we said Mbeki was better than Zuma. That was an offense. We said there was a military base in Botswana of the US, and that we need a regime change in Botswana so that new regime will tell the US to remove its base, because that base is a threat to the security of Southern Africa. So we can't have a base within our own territory. And then they said, no, I want to destabilize Botswana. And that's how I got banned in Botswana. But all evidence was presented there in the ANC National Disciplinary Committee, including Tokyo Sowal, who came with a report that was commissioned by O.R. Tambo, that I led the investigation of whether there is a base in Botswana or not during our exile times. And we found that this is a military base of the US, and the Botswana government was pretending like this is their airport. But that is not to be. It's a US property. Presented that, but there was a predetermined outcome. And then Hanegom was the chairperson, Derek Hanegom. Then I got 5 years suspension. Then we made an appeal. It went to Cyril Ramaphosa. My 5 years was changed to expulsion. And then we wrote a letter to the National Conference of the ANC, which is the highest decision-making body. When that letter arrived there, they suppressed it. And then that was the end of it. But on the hindsight, we realized that, no, they are not chasing me. They've got a problem with the resolutions of the Youth League, which wants to change the patterns of ownership in South Africa. So in 2011, we had taken decisions that we must nationalize the mines, must nationalize the banks, the Reserve Bank, and we must expropriate land without compensation. So they thought we're playful. We're just kids who are useless. And Tony Ngeni came to my house and said, you see those resolutions that you took there in that conference, they are either going to kill you or they are going to expel you, but one of the two is going to happen. The mining conglomerates have got the best intelligence, better than the state intelligence. Wherever they are worried about you. For the first time, maybe after 1994, the Ruperts commented publicly, Johan Rupert commented publicly, was when the Youth League took those resolutions. And Johan said, the Youth League is like an irritating mosquito, which needs a doom. And then that doom became Zuma, that killed the Youth League. So they thought, that now we have resolutions. We say, okay, we need leaders who are going to be brave enough to take these resolutions forward in the ANC. Mm. So we go to the NGC of the ANC in Durban. Mm. The NGC of the ANC in Durban adopts those resolutions of the Youth League. Now they realize these boys are not playing. And then we now say, no, Zuma must be removed. Anyway, we had an agreement when we went to Polokwane with Zuma that he will do 1 term. And then we'll look for a new president. And we said Kgalema must be president. Gwede must go. Mbalula must be SG. But Gwede is very smart. He went to mobilize Zuma that, no, they are not looking for me. They are actually looking to remove you. So we need to club together to deal with them. And then we got finished like that. And then Cyril Ramaphosa was used in that NDCA to remove us from the Youth League, to suppress this struggle for economic freedom. Because we're already calling ourselves economic freedom fighters in the ANC.
Within the Youth League.
Within the Youth League. Yeah. And the person who made a correct observation and analysis is Blade Nzimande, who said, these people are a political party within a political party. Mm. So we have to be very careful of them. Expelled us, came together, me, Masondo, Floyd, 3 of us at my house in Sundown. We're like, what do we do now? Because the agenda is to suppress this thing. And this is a generational mission. Shouldn't we form a non-governmental organization that you guys will lead and then continue to agitate for economic freedom? Should we form a political party that will be aligned to the ANC, like the Communist Party, and still agitate for this as an alliance of the ANC? Or should we form a political party that will contest the ANC and remove it from power? So we went, the 3 of us, separate ways. And then we said, okay, let's go think about it. And then we came back together with Floyd. Masondo was now developing a cold feet. So Masondo has never participated in the decision to make the EFF as a party. He participated in the initial discussion of what happens now? What do we do? And as we're thinking about it, when we called David Masondo for a follow-up, developed a cold field, and then me and Floyd said, no, let's do this thing. We'll see where it takes us to. And then we made a clarion call for everyone to come and respond to those 3 questions I was asking. Convened a meeting of those who supported us in Soweto, Uncle Tom's Hall. We had nothing, nothing. Like, it was just ourselves. We didn't have money, we didn't have anything. I'm mentioning this because when we were going to book a venue in Uncle Tom's Hall, they wanted 3,000. We didn't have. So we had to call around. We didn't have even in our banks. Call around. This one will bring 500, this one, put it together, and then go and pay that Uncle Tom's Hall. So what is interesting is that the person who had a task to organize that hall and make sure it's available and meet its requirement was Kenny Gunen. He didn't have, he likes playing like he had money all his life. He didn't have 3,000 rand. He couldn't pay 3,000 rand of Uncle Tom's Hall. So we went then, people said, let's form a party. Let's form a political party and then contest power. But I had made rounds before that meeting. I mean, I had gone to Marikana. They just killed people in Marikana a day or 2 after I went. People, they were refusing to receive any politician, but they accepted me. When I was there, they said to me, open your own political party. We're tired of this. I went to West Rand in the gold mines, spoke to mine workers, because revolution without the support of the workers becomes irrelevant. So when I saw the support of the workers, then I said, this is the way to go. And eventually we agreed. And then we formed the EFF to continue the struggle for economic freedom in our lifetime, because every generation must have its own mission. Mandela's generation was political freedom in our lifetime. Many did not live to realize it. Few of them lived to realize that generational mission. They made that determination in 1944 in the Youth League Conference. They said political freedom in our lifetime. It took them from 44 until 1994. And we had to now make our own determination as to, as a current generation, what is our mission? We said political freedom came, but political freedom without economic freedom is meaningless. We need to own the means of production. We need to own the land. We need to own the monopoly industries because we are nothing. We will continue to be laborers if we don't own those things. And that's how the EFF came about.
Did you get any death threats at the time? Was your life in danger in some sort of way?
Yeah, it was. We received a lot of death threats. Meetings of the EFF were disrupted violently. People used to threaten us with firearms in EFF meetings, to an extent that EFF people were now beginning to be tempted to carry the weapons themselves. And we said, no. We are going to conscientize our people politically. And everywhere where such things showed their ugly faces, we exposed them. And remember now, that is 11 years ago. The social media is coming.
Yeah.
And When the ANC people disrupt, people are able to film, take them pictures, put them out there. So it started being an embarrassment for them. And even the IFP tried to stop us in the KZN, and we said, no one is going to stop us. We're going to work everywhere. And you know what helped us? I said to Floyd, hey, my guy, we're not going to go back to Limpopo and then remove ourselves from the center, because if we are going to launch a fight back strategy, it has to be done from the center. You can't launch a fight back strategy from Malamulelo or from Masagani. You won't get even a simplest media coverage. So we had to fight from here. So as we're hustling, fortunately, we had made some savings as individuals. So those savings came. But personally, I was in more trouble because SARS was now on my case, taking everything that belongs to me. The police were now arresting me for alleged corruption in Limpopo, you know, as a way of trying to distract me. But I knew I used to save money, man. But, you know, they were deducting it from my bank account, but I didn't remember the name of the company and all of that. So one day I was driving on Greyston. I see a sign of Old Mutual. No, these ones are the ones who have my money. So I went there. After SARS took everything, and I'm staying in a rented house, I gave them my ID. I said, no, I want my money. I've been saving money. They took my ID. They said, yes, you've got two. There was the one that I started saving before 2010. When they announced 2010, we thought it will never come, that thing. So we started putting money with the hope that by the time it comes, there will be a lot of money we saved, and then we'll withdraw from it. But when 2010 came, I didn't need that money. I was the president of the Youth League. So I didn't have to buy any ticket or do whatever. I was already in Joburg, so I went to stadiums as invited guest, and I had a place in Joburg. So I never bothered to take that money, but they continued to deduct even beyond 2010. Then I had savings. I think I had almost 300,000 or less, not more than that, which I withdrew the 2010 money. I think it was not more than 50,000. Put together, gave my landlord money for the whole year. And then that's how I continued to stay in Joburg for a year, to buy ourselves time so that we can launch this thing. And when people realize that these people are determined, like they are pushing their own thing, only then people started putting some money to try and support us and to be where we are.
And you also openly speak about Mazoti's assistance?
No, Mazotti was registration for elections.
The IEC.
The IEC, because they needed 600,000. We could raise 400,000 plus. And then Mazotti gave us 200,000. So he didn't give us money to form the EFF. He helped us with registering it with the IEC. But Mazotti, I knew him from the ANC. He was a white ANC member that I got used to in the ANC. I don't think Mazotti even now took up a membership of the EFF. If he's no longer, if he's a member of a political party, he should be an ANC member, or he has not renewed his political membership and then he just stayed out of politics. I don't know that's his situation now. But to create an impression that it's a product of the EFF is not true. It's a product of the ANC. Yeah, and he helped me not because he believed in the EFF or anything of that sort. He believed in me as an individual and said, no, I need to give this guy support. Then many others. I mean, there was a guy called Jimmy, one of the property moguls in Polokwane, who passed away during COVID. I mean, the guy believed in me. He will give me money and say, it's up to you if you want to take it to the EFF or you want to use it for yourself, but it's your money. I can't give EFF money. I'm a member of the ANC. So, but I love you as a person, so I'm giving you. But he was trying to be clever because the money he was giving me, it was almost on the eve of elections. How do you give me money on the eve of elections? Say, you must choose whether you give EFF or it's your money. Obviously, I'm going to take it to EFF because we're fighting the elections. But I knew he always tried to play smart like that. So that's how we survived the formation of the EFF under all the threats, social isolation. A friend of mine, we now have a marquee at Durban, July. So a friend of mine, we're still friends even now, Semi Mashita. He used to host the Durban July marquee. So we were regulars there and all of that. But after we formed the EFF, we go to Durban July. I don't know if it was 2013 or 2014. It must be 2013. And we go to Durban July. I speak to Semi. Semi agrees everything I sharp. Then in the morning, off we go there. So I'm with my other friend called Forum. Forum realizes we are now almost close to Semi's marquee. So he advances to tell those guys, oh no, I'm coming with this guy, so we don't struggle at the door. As I come, I see Semi arguing with Forum. Before they knew it, I was here. I was like, hey, my guy. And then there's, the bouncers, they knew me. And so, hey, chief, hey, chief. No. They open without the principal. The principal is still confused. And inside, there's Mbalulas and ANC, big guys inside. So he doesn't know what to do. Whether he's conflicted. So I could see what that guy is going through. And I was saying to Forum, but man, we don't need a social capital of the ANC for us to socialize. We can create our own. And by creating our own, we're teaching other young people that for you to be happy, you don't have to be a member of the ANC. For you to socialize and to be in this kind of places, you don't have to be associated with the ANC people. Let's do our own marquee. And that's how we started doing our own marquee. So the isolation was not only in terms of violence, threats, it was social isolation. It was economic isolation. The business people that you knew, that were your friends, they retreated, all of them. And then you had to fight for this idea alone. And that's why I said, I know what is happening now. It doesn't shock me because I slept one day with 10 friends. And when I woke up alone. No one was nowhere to be found. Yeah. And I know them. And they are still involved in my life, even now. But maturity demand of me to be kind like that. But I know them for who they are. So when they speak, I actually listen to what they are not saying, because that's what they mean.
Do you currently feel betrayed?
Absolutely.
Does it hurt you?
Yeah. Come again?
Does it hurt
Betrayal hurts. Someone says, you say these people are your brothers, at the same time you say they betrayed you. Your brother can betray you. It's not like it's scientifically impossible for a brother to betray you. I mean, I cannot tell this story of the EFF without talking about these guys. They were there. Whether they are doing what they are doing to me now or not to talk about them, it will be a distortion of history and to lie about how the EFF came to be. But politics are like that. Thomas Sankara was betrayed by his closest confidant. And he was not just betrayed like I was betrayed. And I'm drawing no comparison, but I'm just giving an example with a reality that we have come to know about it. He was not just betrayed, the way was betrayed. He was killed through his own friend and his own confidant. So we are lucky not to have been killed. But what they did to us was attempted murder. It's an equivalent of, if they had a way, they would have gotten rid of us. So you can't share trenches with people like that. And this kind of things happen, and then you don't feel betrayed. I mean, Chris and his family should be, feeling the most horrible and terrible pain than what I'm feeling, because Chris get killed on the eve of a democratic a dispensation. People were in the trenches with Chris. Till to date, they've never found what was the motive behind the killing of Chris. Why would you not find the motive behind the killing of Chris? Because JULIUS was not going to carry such a difficult mission on his own. But his own comrades can't find what killed Chris till to date. So there could be individual betrayals in the revolution. I mean, what is even worse, Floyd says our relationship is not that of brotherhood, because the way we're describing it as like a gangsterism. So he calls me a gangster. And why would you call me a gangster? Because I've never engaged in anything that suggests criminality or gangsterism or anything of that sort. And when I get called a gangster, I'm not the one who initiated that. They leave, they do what they do, I don't say anything, and then they go on podcasts to insult me, and they expect me to keep quiet. I will not keep quiet, because I always tell whoever cares to listen that I'm not a pushover. I will never allow that.
But how do you keep the relationship of the Progressive Caucus when you've recently just named MK enemy number one of the EFF, and being somebody who's known globally all over the world as a Pan-Africanist, or somebody who's got so much love for Black people? Why would you see them as an enemy when they are a Black party?
A Black party that wants to kill the EFF is an enemy. Anyone who wants to kill you, in their attempt to kill you, you can't give them roses. I'm not going to be asked to give them in exchange roses. There's no political party in South Africa that wakes up every morning with an agenda of how do we kill the EFF, except the MK. We are in parliament together. We have adopted a progressive charter in parliament. A progressive charter means the minimum program of action, things that we agree upon now. And when you look at the clauses of the progressive charter, are actually the 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars of the EFF. We just took them into the progressive charter and they adopted them the way they are. So I cannot say, because this paper is now presented by a different person in parliament, even if it means what I stand for, then I must oppose it. We're elected to work together in parliament with everyone, but we don't have to agree. So with MK, there are certain things in parliament that we agreed on. And till to date, even when we've declared them an enemy, we're still working together on any matter that we agree on. We've never declared MK a strategic enemy. It's an enemy as in our quest to defeat white monopoly capital, there will be Black Bantu stands that stand in between us and the apartheid white supremacist government. Does it mean we must not fight these Bantu stands? A Lobua Bantu stand, a Natal Bantu stand, a Venda Bantu stand, even if they are led by Black people, we're going to have to fight against them. We had songs against Ramudik. We had songs against all the Bantustan leaders, against them, because they were an immediate threat to what could usher in a possible democratic dispensation. And that's what the MK has become, an equivalent of a Bantustan that stands in between the EFF and what could be a possible economic freedom in our lifetime. So it can't be, Sbu, that because a gun is pointed at me by a Black person, by being a Pan-Africanist, I must accept the criminality of this Black person. I will respond fire with fire. Doesn't matter from which Black person it comes from. So I gave example. They say, yeah, you say we must support Chidima, but at the same time you say you don't want Zuma. I said, Chidima never said the EFF must die. So Zuma said the EFF must die. MK said the EFF must die. And I'm expected to fold hands because of my Pan-Africanism. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to fight back. They are our enemy insofar as we are concerned about the livelihood and the life of the EFF. And once that hustle is done, we now concentrate without any irritation directly to white monopoly capital.
Some of those members that you were anticipating to bleed to the MK from the EFF, as you did mention, that some will leave the EFF. Do you think that number is now done, or are you still expecting some more members to join the MK from the EFF?
No, the ones that I've expected to leave, they're gone. Yeah, but I can't say there won't be a person from EFF who will join MK. But Bua must explain one thing, that's what makes me sleep at night. There's no single person in the 11 years of the EFF, there's no single person who has ever left the EFF and succeeded politically. Not one. You can name all of them. They not a single, even the ones you are talking about now. Me and you will come back to this podcast and you'll be asking me, are you not feeling sorry for them? There's a guy who left the EFF and then complained about VBS, and then he became a hero of everyone. Why am I forgetting his name now? And then he left, and eventually he joined Action SA in PE. I just received a long letter from him now, begging to come back into the EFF. But in the EFF, there is a clause in the constitution that says if you leave and join or wear colors of another political party, you will not be welcome back. Because EFF is not holiday in. Check in, check out. No, you check out is Chaile. That's it. So you check in, you stay in. So I worry not, because these policies that the EFF has, we crafted them together with these people. And none of the MK policies are anywhere close to the EFF policies. What is Pan-Africanism about MK and about Zuma? Zuma had all the time to unite black people. Why isn't Zuma united black people? And then all of a sudden he wakes up at 82 years and then he thinks he can unite black people. Zuma was in exile, was in the ANC, Natal, national president, deputy president, all of that. He has never said black people must come together. Since when is Zuma wanting to give us a land? Because we said to Zuma when he was a president, here are the numbers of the votes of the EFF in parliament, which gives the ANC 2/3 majority. Let's expropriate land without compensation. Zuma refused, rejected the offer of the EFF to expropriate land without compensation. Why would he come now and say, I want to expropriate land? When did he realize that land can be expropriated? We were beaten up, not only in parliament, in the feast must fall. Kids were arrested, into jail. Some of them, their careers were destroyed. Zuma was the president. The ANC Youth League was killed and destroyed under Jacob Zuma. Which unity are they talking about? Jacob Zuma now says, let's collapse the EFF under me and let's form organization of black people, and all of a sudden we want to fall into that temptation. When Zuma has got no such track record, but the EFF has got that track record of uniting black people, of uniting Africans, of fighting for Africans. It's the EFF that brought Africans under one roof, more than 120,000 of them in FNB Stadium. It is the EFF that has gone beyond the borders of South Africa and has got EFF Namibia, EFF Zimbabwe, Nigeria, EFF this EFF has practically demonstrated that it has got the capacity to unite black people. It is the EFF that went to close cliques when the hair of black Africans was ridiculed as not being a quality hair. We went to close cliques. Cliques went to apologize and had to go and give poor communities sanitary towels and so on and so forth. This EFF. It is the EFF that confronted white racism everywhere and protected black people to an extent that even black people who are not members of the EFF, who don't vote for it, use it at their workplaces and in any other place where they are threatened for their own protection, because we've given black people a solid weapon that they can use to advance the struggle of blackness and Pan-Africanism. Where did Zuma do that? Which farm was ever closed by Zuma's protest? Which white capitalist was ever confronted by Zuma? And today he says to us he can defend us. Where's Zuma when it comes to Palestinian question? Where does Zuma stand about us owning our own banks and mines from white capital? Why are we not being told of the white capital that is behind the formation of Mkhonto Wesizwe? And then it's all pretentious. I mean, that racist boy you used to work with, Gareth Cliff, says everyone here agrees that Zuma was the best president compared to Ramaphosa. All white people that I've interacted with, including the most strategic whites. Why would whites think like that about Zuma compared to Cyril that we all know? This is the puppet of white capital. The white capital says Zuma is even better than our puppet. Why? Because Zuma has never been a threat to the establishment. He has never been a threat to the status quo. He has never been a threat to white monopoly capital. So they're like, he needs to come back because under him we're doing well and there's nothing of us that got to be tampered with. Even when Ramaphosa has given them government and said, this is a government of national unity, come white people, let's govern together. They still say, no, Zuma is a proper person. Why? Why would the people, our own oppressors, have so much praise for Zuma if Zuma has got such progressive policies? In the policies of MK, tell me of a single policy that suggests they are left. There's nothing left about them. There's nothing progressive about them. Pregnant women are going to be, pregnant girls are going to be taken to Robben Island. What is progressive about that? Pregnant girls, teenage pregnancy. Most of the teenage pregnancy happens as a result of rape and is done by their uncles, is done by their neighbor, is done by their teachers and so on and so forth. And then a meeting is held in the family that this becomes a family secret. No one must speak about it. So when you say, I'm taking the girls who are pregnant to Robben Island, what about the boys? And how are you going to know the boys? Because you only depend on these girls to tell you who impregnated them. If they don't say, it means they're going to go to Robben Island. Even the most brutal regime of apartheid never took young kids, girls west, to Robben Island. Zuma says he's taking them to Robben Island. So we cannot, in our rightful mind, close the EFF for such ideas. We're refusing. Look at the composition of the MK leadership. There's no gender reflection or representatives. It's an all-male squad. And what makes matters worse with such parties, the leadership gets appointed. So you can't say, no, but these are males because they are a product of a democratic process which I can't tamper with. You are the one who appoints. You appoint out of 9 males, you appoint 1 female. And you say, I couldn't see any other female. And then you call that progressive. And what is even worse, there are girls who were pretending to be feminists who are now supporting such an organization. We cannot close the EFF for such nonsense. The EFF is the progressive organization that needs to be protected by all of you black people because it's the only organization in the recent past that has demonstrated beyond any reasonable doubt that it is for black people.
As we're wrapping up, my 2 last questions.
Sure.
The rumor that was all over social media and out there that Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi was banned from the NPA. How true is that? And a follow-up question to that would be, are you intimidated by Dr. Ndlozi?
Well, it remains a rumor because in the EFF there's no such a thing. There were no such indications from Dr. Ndlozi to us that he wants to join MK, or he has not renewed his membership. As far as I'm concerned, he's in the membership system of the EFF, because the day you announce that you are leaving the EFF, immediately the membership officer takes you out of the membership system. I mean, as a person that has been around for quite some time and paying a closer attention to politics in South Africa, for sure you would agree that in my entire political existence, I've never been threatened by anyone. I will never be threatened by Ndlozi, or never be threatened by anyone, because this thing is very simple, my guy. If you fight and fight me, I'll fight back. Hey, we're in politics. I'm not in a church where when people fight, I pray for them. I don't do that. No. I don't pray for your fight. I'll fight back, and I'll fight very bad. And I told Floyd at the anniversary dinner of the EFF that you guys are tired of me. Come tell me, negotiate with me, I'll leave. So that's how I deal with threat. When I became the president of the Youth League, I was contested. I won. And I told them a simple thing. And that outcome, they contested it in Mangaung. I said, if they make a mistake of allowing me to be this thing for 6 months, when we go back to the conference, there won't be a contest. And I'm not talking about kids. I'm talking about people who are way older than me. They were all on the other side against me. I said, if they make a mistake of allowing me to lead this 6 months so that we prepare the second leg to elect additionals and take resolutions, there will not be a contest. We went to the second leg. They came and said, no, President, we realize now we have to bring this thing together, and then no contest. I said, no problem. Let's decide. We finished them on the ballot. None of them came in. Subsequent conference in 2011, I came back uncontested. Not against kids, against old people. In 2011, Zuma never wanted me. In 2008, Zuma wanted Saki. I won against Zuma. That's why I always say I've always won against Zuma. In 2011, Zuma wanted Lebogang Maile to be president. Meetings were held at Zuma's residence at Forest Town, planning to remove me. As state president, I defeated that thing with all the resources and experience he had. I was not contested. You can't say he was abusing his power and suppressing the young people. It was Zuma. It was elders. It was people who are in employment, who are older than me, who said, this time we're removing him. I defeated them. That's why they had to remove me the way they removed me. I didn't only defeat them in the Youth League 2011 conference. I went to be elected as a leader of the ANC, PEC in Limpopo, directly elected of the ANC. So that's how much I don't feel intimidated, because I'm very good at this thing. I told you I've done it from 9 years. I didn't meet it because I was hustling without a job and someone said, no, can make quick bucks here. No. It's in my DNA. It's in my
This is
veins.
all you know.
This is what I know. And even when tendency come, I can tell you from a distance. They tried to launch an attack on my leadership in the Limpopo EFF conference. And I told Vuyan there, I said, I can see what they're doing. They make sure that all the progressive people who are standing don't get elected, and then elected useless people into the leadership. When I went to close that conference, I said, you must never think I don't know, I don't see what you are doing here. People can go into the archives of that conference. I said, you must never think I don't see what you are doing here. But when I come back to fight back, it will be very painful. And as a result, I removed that provincial chairperson and secretary and all of those useless people that they imposed in Limpopo so that they can undermine the progress of Limpopo EFF. Removed them. When Floyd tried to argue, I pointed him to the constitution which said the officials of the EFF have got a right to remove any elected official who is incompetent. The intellectual was trying to say, I said, yeah, it's in the constitution. And I can guarantee you that clause was put by Floyd. And I know for sure he was targeting someone. He didn't know that it's coming to bite him. And then when we went to another meeting, Dr. Ndlozi repeated that argument of Floyd. That no, we did it as officials, then went to the War Council and took a decision that they must be removed. Dr. Ndlozi said, you can't remove the elected officials and all of that. It was Floyd who said, check clause what. Now it's an official's decision. Floyd can't disassociate himself with it even when he doesn't agree with it. Now, Ndlozi repeats that in the War Council, which is responsible for day-to-day running of the organization. Floyd says, check what clause. He says, no, there's no such a clause. They take the constitution and give it to the intellectual. When he page it, I say, in my typical way of doing things, I say, don't read it alone, read it loud so everybody can hear. And as he was reading it, he says, he realized we're just exercising our democratic power that is given to us by our own constitution. Whether you like it or not, it's the internal mechanisms within which internal democracy is exercised in the EFF. So, but I knew when they were doing what they are doing, where I'm going to catch them. I didn't have to put up a fight. I didn't have to disrupt the EFF conference or its running, and I had to know this is what they have done, and they think they've catched me. I'm going to catch them on the other side. All I'm saying is, when you hit the other side, I'm not going to give you the other side. I'm going to hit back, and I'm going to hit twice. And so don't expect me that people can conspire to remove me, and then I must be the one who's sheepish around the whole thing. Even I never initiate. I said to all of these people who are causing trouble, I've never had a meeting with anyone to fight you. But you guys go sit and decide to fight me. And when I respond, I'm the problem. But no one noticed when I'm being attacked. No one noticed. They only notice the response. They don't notice the attack on me. And that has been my life, is Buddha, because I come from a poor family. I'm nobody. And people think, who is he to tell us what to do and what not to do, or who can undermine him? But they get a shock of their life, because even Zuma thought he undermined me. Go and look at the video, I've put it there, of Zuma and Cyril and all of them after they thought finally they are done with me after the conference of the ANC in Mangaung. The following day, they had an interview with Ndoro, a breakfast show of the Gupta newspaper after they being elected. Then they were asked, hey, what are you saying about the young man who said he's prepared to die for you? And then Baleka said, and no one is prepared to die for him. And then they were laughing, Zuma. You could see that they think I'm done. They in their mind, I'm done. All of them are finished, including Cyril's time is done. I'm still here. In some farm, go Free State. So Zuma is in the village. I'm still young. The age is on my side. Doesn't matter what they do. I'm not going anywhere. I don't know anything. Even when they expelled me from the ANC, I said, with my poor matric results, even if someone wants to hire me as a cashier, and then they are told, Julius Malema is here, he wants a job of a cashier, they will never employ me. No one can employ me. There's nothing I know except politics, and I will do politics to my grave.
My last question, CIC, would be, EFF suffered its first drop in terms of elections.
Yes.
What are you doing the upcoming elections? Is the EFF finished?
Never. The EFF will never be finished. I mean, we, in the recent past, during all these up and downs, we won a award in the Western Cape for the first time. And then we didn't suffer a loss that much compared to the ANC. I mean, from 60-something, 50-something to 40%, we moved from 10 to 9 because of the developments in KZN. Everywhere else, the EFF remained stable. And then it's growing slowly but surely. So this organization will never die. I mean, now, Western Cape, I'm even giving an old example. Just on Tuesday, we were marching to the Constitutional Court to demand that Ramaphosa's case of Phala must be reinstated in Parliament and we must impeach him. No less than 10,000 people came to that march. And when I was addressing them standing on top of the buggy, what made my heart melt was the young people who were there. That this is the future of the EFF. So young. And I was like, once you say you will kill the EFF, it means you're saying you will kill these young people, and it's not possible. The young people know that the EFF is the only thing that makes sense to them. No any other thing makes sense politically in South Africa without the EFF. But equally is Buddha. One day, just close your eyes and imagine politics of South Africa without EFF. Will be worse. We will be worse because no one will be holding these people accountable. This MK you are talking about, where was it in the Constitutional Court now when we're holding corruption accountable? Where was DA? Where was Freedom Under Law? Where was Helen Suzman Foundation? All these white people and black people's corrupt organizations were not there. It was the EFF that stood up in defense of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa and said, no one is above the Constitution, including the parliamentarians. If the EFF was not there, not only was Ramaphosa going to not be exposed with dollars in his farm, he will now be putting dollars in the crawl because the house will be full. Because once you go to the lounge, it means the bedroom is full, everything. So from lounge is kitchen, from kitchen there is no available space. Let's go to the crawl. We saved you from dollars being put in the crawls, this EFF.
You once spoke about something, I know we're almost done now. When the Phala issue first came up, I think, I don't know, 2 years ago, however long it was, you said there is something you're still going to speak about in the Holobrain. What happened in the Holobrain?
In the
Holobrain, about the dollars being found in the sofas. You mentioned something along the lines of, forget the dollars in the sofas. I'm going to reveal more about what happened in the Holobrain.
No, in the plane.
Yeah.
These guys, they were law unto themselves. These dollars were being brought into this country, being counted in the planes, in the private jets, and in the open and all of that. That's how much we're deteriorating as a country. And people don't have an appreciation of how we had saved our country from such a degeneration. Come on, guys. The guy says, I'm a farmer, I'm doing business. That's how the dollars found their way in the Phala farm. Firstly, he doesn't realize he's making a mistake because the Constitution says, as a president, you can't do any other business except the business of being president. That is his oath of office. That alone, he has violated his oath of office. Then he says a person came to buy the buffaloes with dollars. Second thing is that you are actually undermining the Reserve Bank laws because the only trading currency in South Africa is rand. That's why we can take the dollars now and go to Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton is an international shop. They will not take dollars. We're going to have to change them into rands. So you can't trade in South Africa using dollars. So thirdly, a person who came to buy dollars buys them in his explanation from a manager, gives him so much money. In rands, that money is more than 8.7 million. Gives your manager so much money. He doesn't deposit it in the bank. The money gets stolen. You don't open a case. You say, I told my bodyguard, Cyril Ramaphosa is a graduate of law. He knows the law. There is no criminal procedure that dictates that when a crime is committed, you must tell your bodyguard. When a crime is committed, you go and open a case and get a case number. All of a sudden, he acts like a layman who doesn't know what to do when a crime is being committed. And lastly, the person who bought the buffaloes with so much money, 8.7 million, he has never come to fetch the buffaloes. No buffalo is recorded to be leaving South Africa. No buffalo is being recorded. And then you guys believe that story. And you want all of us to believe that story. Come on, man, there's nothing personal against me and Cyril. We get along. But I'm not going to say because I get along with Cyril and all of that, he must do wrong things. And then I must not expose those things. I'm going to expose them, even when they are committed by people that are my favorite. Wrong to our constitution is wrong. So we saved South Africa from that degeneration. There are other countries where, in the continent here, where currency, things just get done. As long as you've got political connection, you know the corridors of power, you can do as you wish. And that becomes a failed state. We saved South Africa from becoming a failed state. That's why this EFF must be protected by everyone, members and non-members, voters and non-voters, because it is in the interest of our constitution.
Lastly, more on a lighter note, congratulations on your legal counsel and legal team for the Pala case.
Thank you.
It was great to see fresh faces.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
just brilliant minds.
But the EFF is known for that. We always produce talent. We always give the country the best of the best. I mean, if we take Parliament now, we're being denied an opportunity to show that talent in the kind of parliamentarians we have now. I mean, the kind of caliber of young men and women we have in that parliament. If they were to be given platform, you will think those who came before the Marichoku, because they're the best. We recognize talent, we protect it, and we give it an opportunity. I mean, in all respect, economically, whatever little that we can do, we give it to the best black talent. Socially, you know, even artists, they will tell you, there's no single artist that has ever performed in an EFF event that got paid after or paid a deposit. Before they go on stage, they are fully paid. Yeah.
Mr. Julius Malema, the CIC, and at the NPA, I would like to donate a pallet of more fire for the delegates.
Let me drink one.
Mologo kasi.
Yeah.
How you will rappel us?
Ouch.
Hustlers.
Sorry, cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. May God bless you. Thank you so much for the inspiration over the years. You've done something so unfathomable. And it's incredible, all these amazing bright minds that you keep bringing to the fore in South African politics.
Thank you very much.
You inspire a lot of us, and may the good Lord continue to bless you and your family.
Thank you. Let's continue the fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, the CIC. Danko.